Hey everyone, welcome to Tips in 10, where we give you the top tips in the least amount of time. This series was built to help you stay in the know without taking a chunk out of your schedule. And today I am so stoked. Wait till you see the energy of my guest today. We're talking about everything there is to know about a podcast with Sebastian Rusk, who has been a coach, host, and specialist for the industry over 15 years. In this episode, we're going to talk to him about the benefits of starting a podcast, the positive impact it can have on your brand, and how they have changed millions of people's lives and businesses. Thank you for joining us, Sebastian. Welcome to Tips in 10.
Mike, what's up, dude? Great to be here, man.
Dude, so stoked to have you here today, brother. Today is going to be amazing. Love your energy. By the way, just a quick little fun fact. I wanted my first child, who was my one and only son. I had a son and two girls, but I wanted my son's name to be Sebastian. My wife wouldn't give it to me. We ended up going with Luke, but I just wanted you to know I absolutely love the name.
I look like a Luke, so I can get that. I can totally get that. I weigh 12 pounds, so I needed a big name.
So you were a 12-pound child.
Yeah,
that
12
is
pounds.
impressive.
It is. Dude,
God bless your mom, brother.
Yeah, she's a trooper. She was a newspaper journalist, and she ran a contest in the local newspaper in the small town in Indiana that I was born in. And there was a German exchange student in town at the time. His name was Sebastian. So he won. I blame him.
There you go, brother. There you go. It's all good. It's all good. Well, let's get this party started because we only got 10 minutes and we got a lot of information that we need you to share. So let me ask you a question. Number one, why should someone start a podcast?
Well, I think that it's the number one networking and relationship building tool on the planet. There's not a better way to be able to connect with someone and have a conversation and build rapport with them than to have a podcast. If you think about, well, the additional benefits that come after that, like creating content like you should be, getting the word out, becoming a media company as a brand, repurposing content from your podcast into your daily content strategy. I mean, I could go on and on with the direct benefits, but I think it, number one, it's your access key. It's your foot in the door. I've lived this for the past 15 years, being able to get my foot in the door just by saying, hey, Mike, let's get you on the podcast. Hey, Mike, let's get you on the show. Or being at an event and saying, hey, you got 5 minutes? We can have a quick conversation. I want to talk about you. I want to make it all about you. And people rarely decline opportunities to have their ego stroked.
So is it more of an ego thing? Is that what it is? Or,
No, but that's human nature. I don't think I don't say that in a negative context. I think it's more of, if I'm calling to sell you something, I'm right behind the other 100 people that are trying to do that same exact thing. If I come in from the angle of let's get you on the podcast and let's have a conversation, I'm going to identify your needs anyway through that conversation, through the interview, by me simply asking, hey, Mike, when are you going to start a podcast at the end of the episode? And we're able to successfully convert a lot of our podcast guests over to agency clients just for that fact. I mean, I try to target, that's a tough demographic to go after, someone who has no podcast but is up to something very interesting, because more times than not those individuals tend to have a podcast. But I think that would be the main reason someone would want to start a podcast.
I love it. I mean, 15 years ago, did podcasts just come out then, or
no? Podcasts
were ahead of a curve.
Podcasts came out in 2002. Shortly after LinkedIn launched, the platform that we're on right now. A lot of people don't know LinkedIn was one of the first players on the block. Then came MySpace. Then came Facebook after that. So 2002 podcasting was born. 2002, 2003. I'm one of those two on there. And it was named a podcast because it was a cast that was supposed to be played on a iPod. Remember those things back in the day? So they named it a podcast. Well, it was coined through Apple creating the iPod, but then later on went on to do, other technology in and of itself, with being able to, a podcast by definition is an audio file that's uploaded to the internet to be consumed audibly. So that was the very beginning. And then it kind of faded out. And then 2008 started to get popular again when that serial podcast, true crime podcast, became really popular. Then it faded out a little bit, and I think we got a little resurgence again back in 2016. That's really when I went all in with podcasting, not just the digital world, but all in with podcasting. So good. I think we're just getting started. We have I think there's about 2.5 million shows in existence. God only knows how many of those are actually active.
Right.
But when you compare that to platforms like YouTube, where there's 15 million creators, 15 to 20 million creators, it's a small number. And I don't believe that, it's like saying there's too many books. I don't think there's ever going to be a case where there's too many podcasts out there, because what I like, you don't like, and what you like, I don't like.
There's always going to be a nugget. And that, by the way, thanks for sharing some of those fun facts. I had no idea. So question number 2, how can podcasting change someone's life and business?
I think a lot of times people are in their own way of being able to just get started, whether it's analysis paralysis or that inner critic starts to go crazy when you start to plot out some ideas. The whole, it's not going to work. I'm going to sound like crap, look like crap. Nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to care. Why should I do this anyway? All the lies that we continue that reel that we play in our head that the inner critic really, really runs. I think once we're able to get past that and step into becoming a podcaster and saying, I'm doing this not for myself. I'm doing this I am for myself, because who am I becoming in the process? But I'm doing it to provide as much value as possible for the listener, from the end user on there. The direct, that's the catalyst there. And then by default, I'm stepping into something that I didn't know I wanted to do. A lot of the I've been speaking on stages for the past 12 years. And, there was a point in time that I never really envisioned that. I don't know that I was ever really nervous about it. I was more like, just give me the mic, let me get after it. And I quickly discovered, it's my gift. But a majority of people don't feel that way. Most people would rather die than public speak. And that's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy. So how can it change your life? My primary focus is helping you become who you need to be in order to become a podcaster. And that's silencing that inner critic, helping you understand the truth, not what we make up and what we think or what our friends and family like to, to provide us as far as feedback is with our ideas. It's what we truly want to do, and stepping into that and realizing who is missing out because we choose to not step into becoming whatever that is, a YouTuber, a TikToker, a blogger, whatever you want to be. It doesn't really matter, but being able to step into that, because that on the other side of it, your life and your business and the people you're interacting with are impacted for the better.
That is so good. And one of the reasons, people are like, Mike, why did you start a podcast? I said, honestly, obviously the benefits, just like you shared about giving content and bringing value to people. But I say, honestly, I learned more than probably the rest of the audience, because the people that I brought on, I mean, they just drop so much information that I just, take it all in, and then I'm able to apply it myself. So it's been great. So tell me about the power. What is the power behind podcasting?
The biggest power that I found is the relationships that I can build through podcasting, whether it's getting me on stages, it's new agency clients, it's brand deals, whatever the case is. I've utilized and leveraged the power of that conversation to monetize it, to turn it into deals. I'm not worried about downloads and all these other numbers. Those are great and everything. If your show gets in there, gets some good traction, sure, you can secure sponsors, and that's always going to be a thing, just like it has been with traditional media. But I think the real magic, the real power play with a podcast is, who can you have conversations with that you can actually sell something to? Not going to happen every time, but when we or there's some sort of return because of that conversation. Maybe it's a new relationship that turned into a new product or service or partnership or deal or opportunity or brand deal. You never really know what's on the other side of that, because we're living in a place and time that it's never been easier to be able to do the thing and be able to forge that relationship and come up and create and get it out to the world and find out if it's going to work or not work. So, I think that's the real, again, I keep using the word magic. I don't even know if I believe in magic or not. I'm a big David Copperfield fan, but that is, that's what I call it. I mean, it's like, if you would have told me 15 years ago that I would start talking to people and interviewing them, and the direct result with that would be relationships and revenue, I'd be like, you are, out of your tree. But now I see it as an absolute reality, and that's what my passion is, to help people better understand what they don't know about the power behind podcasting. Podcasting will change your life and your business, just for a few of the reasons that I just mentioned. Well, if you let it, if you're open to it.
Right. And especially for those that maybe are more introverted, who say, hey, look, I'm not a fan of speaking on the stage, but guess what? Here's a great opportunity to be able to do it. Obviously behind the mic, you don't have to necessarily do it on video, but maybe that's what kind of gets them out of their comfort zone. And then next, they, continue to excel from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, if you've got that fear is feedback. So the opportunity to be able to look at that fear and say, why is this showing up? What trait have I carried with me all of my life from back to my childhood? We get a little woo-woo with all this, but life is woo-woo. We've got to go in to really figure out. There's a rhyme and reason that we're scared to actually do something. We're terrified to actually do it. I did this with stand-up comedy. I wrote material for years. I can crush a stage with 10,000 people in the audience. No problem. Give me a mic and 50 drunk people. I'm terrified, but I finally pushed through it and got on some mics and been doing that over the past year, thoroughly enjoying it. And it's 5 minutes. It feels like 5 hours, but it's 5 minutes, and I'm really good at it.
But you're doing it. You're doing it, and you don't know until you do it.
And I'm good at it too. Yeah, imagine that. That's what's on the other side of it.
I totally believe it. I mean, you got an amazing voice and an absolutely perfect personality too. So, listen, we're gonna have a little fun now. We're gonna do a little speed round questions. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
What is your favorite vacation destination?
Well, it could be my upcoming one that I'm headed to next week. I'm headed on a cruise in Hawaii next week.
Ooh,
so
nice.
that could be. But to date, I think Palm Springs, California.
Okay. Oh, listen, yeah. I love that there. That is a very nice place. Perfect weather. Absolutely perfect weather and beautiful golf. I'm a golfer, so
an oasis in the middle of the desert.
I know. It's incredible. What is the most overrated dessert?
Chocolate cake. It's too much chocolate.
I can't agree more with that. I mean, it's just so
they bring that
on
big
point.
piece out, and I'm like, I'll take a small bite, and you can.
Yeah, I agree. There's just too much. You got that, and then you always got the chocolate icing. You can have it. You know, way too much. Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops?
I just mix a big bowl of them all together and just go ham. Yeah, but I'd say Fruity Pebbles.
Yes,
they jack up the roof of your mouth less.
Yeah, no doubt. That's so true on that.
Fruit Loops was a question on Jeopardy last night.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it sure
was. How about
was.
them apples?
And I said Fruity Loops. That's probably because I was having a tequila while I was watching Jeopardy. But I was like, yeah, Fruity Loops. And I'm like, how long have you been eating Fruit Loops? Yeah.
Awesome. Sebastian, how can our listeners learn more about you? Where can they find you?
LinkedIn, right here is exactly where we're at right here. Click on my profile, click follow, click connect with me, send me a message. I'd love to have a conversation with you about what's possible, what you're scared of, what you want to do, what you're thinking about doing. I'm the individual that takes you from thinking about doing it to actually doing it. Or if not, I just send you on your way and you can continue, doing what you're doing. But we're trying to change things over here. So if you're looking to start a podcast, you've thought about it, you've had a nudge or any type of inclination that maybe you should be doing it, that is reason enough. So hit me up on LinkedIn. Hang out on Instagram a lot too, podcast launch guy, and all my links are in my profile. It's not hard to find me or track me down or get on my calendar. So let's rock and roll.
Appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you for
Sebastian.
Thank
you so much. Thanks so much for joining us today on Tips in 10. You have an amazing day, Sebastian.
You do the same thing, brother.